Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, how the hell are you doing?
Not too bad, just we're kind of, in between a lot of stuff. We're, Money in the Bank behind us. We've got the Saudi show coming up, which got a long ways to the road to SummerSlam here. So it's just kind of, summer month wrestling at this point. But good stuff. Nothing too crazy.
Well, you stumped me on this match. I'm looking at this and I'm like, when in the hell did this happen? So we have Lashley, Cena, Booker, Foley, Orton in a 5-way match.
All over the board. Yep.
Where did you find this and how did it hit your radar?
Yeah, this is just one of those really random ones that I was kind of looking at the players, and you really got to be like, oh, okay, Bobby Lashley and John Cena. Part of this was, I know that was my major reason for picking this was John Cena and the name being there. We know the retirement tour and doing all that, but then you're like, wait a minute, but then Randy Orton's in there too, and then you're like, okay, well, also King Booker, what? Why is he there? And then finally you're like, okay, Mick Foley showed up too. And it's on an ECW show. It was kind of everybody, but also that was kind of, a little bit of the billing on it. So it's it just really, it is there. And I've got the details, but it's just a really weird how we got there though.
Well, I'm pumped to cover this one. So let's get right into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
Vengeance. Night of Champions, June 24th, 2007. We're in Houston, Texas at the Toyota Center. We have 15,000 in attendance, and we did a buy rate of 243,000. In our dark match, Super Crazy is going to defeat Carlito by pinfall. Carlito's still active. Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch are going to retain the World Tag Team Championship against the Hardys in 9 minutes. Chavo Guerrero is going to retain his Cruiserweight Championship against Jimmy Wang Yang, who is one of the nicest guys in professional wrestling, apparently. Everyone says that he's just such a nice guy.
I thought I saw not that long ago he wrestled a match again, too.
May have.
Some weird house show or something, but yeah.
Johnny Nitro is going to win the vacant ECW World Heavyweight Championship in 8 minutes against Chick Magnet Punk. Santino Marella is going to retain the Intercontinental Championship by DQ against Umaga in 2 minutes. Probably not a match we're ever going to cover.
No.
By the way, I'm going through this and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of title matches. Well, yeah, no kidding. It's Night of Champions.
Night of Champions.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm not that smart of a guy. MVP.
You got there. It's early. Yeah.
MVP is going to retain the U.S. Championship against Ric Flair. Deuce and Domino are going to retain the the WWE Tag Team Championship against their father, Jimmy Snuka, and Sergeant Slaughter. Dude, I think I need to go back and watch this show. Maybe tomorrow. Edge is going to defeat Batista by countout for the World Heavyweight Championship. Candice Michelle is going to win the Women's Championship against Melina. And then the reason we're here, 5-pack challenge for the WWE Championship. And Jeff, not to spoil anything, but this was a 10-minute match. So the entrances probably took longer than the damn match.
Can confirm. Yep,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So how did we put these 5 together?
Yeah, it's just it really is. It's the weird card. It's a weird build. It's kind of like, oh, we're just going to put everybody on, the matches here. And
by the way, you put together the star ratings for all these matches. Not a great show. Not a great show.
No, looking at it, like even the Edge Batista match for the World Heavyweight Championship, I had to that's why I always include the link as a screenshot. So, but 2 3/4 on that one. The Umaga Santino Marella was a negative star. That Chavo Guerrero Jimmy Wang Yang was 3, and we'll get into this one eventually too. The women's match was a 1/4 of a star. Like it was all over the board. Like it's just really wild, and I think it's because kind of the build with this match was, I don't think WWE necessarily knew what they were doing as a whole at this point. Like you got all these people in this match, and we'll start with Cena on this one. He was the reigning champ. He'd held the title since September at Unforgiven, and so he had almost. We're in June now, so the year previous. So he had quite the run on this one. It was one of the longest reigns at the time. You really had WWE trying to. You had the established people with Foley and Booker. You had the rising, which feels weird, the young stars like Orton and Lashley who aren't, and then Cena, who was the champ and the face of the company. And so what you had, Edge had recently gone over from Raw to SmackDown. He had the World Heavyweight title. And so this left open Raw's really kind of main event scene to have this kind of multi-man match. So why a 5-way? Why do we have so many people on this one? That it was Jonathan Coachman, of course, introducing the show every week. He was the one that said that who would have this, and that it would be a no elimination, first fall wins 5-way championship challenge between all of these guys. So all these different people. Obviously, Cena's the champ, so he's in there. So you've got that piece of it going. Bobby Lashley had recently been, I say, quote unquote, fired from ECW. There was the crossover there involving Vince and the title. He was drafted to Raw, and so that's why he was in this match. Randy Orton was coming off of feuds with Shawn Michaels and RVD, and so this is when the Legend Killer persona was starting to kind of get some ground and build a little bit here. And so him being a heel in this one, and kind of, it feels weird to say young Randy Orton, but it was young Randy Orton, and so you're almost looking at 20 years ago. King Booker's still doing his thing, drafted from SmackDown to Raw, kind of using the King Booker persona. He had said that he wanted the respect because of the role he was in, and he was the former world champ, so he should get it. And Foley just kind of came back for this one. I couldn't find a ton other than he's just a wild card on this one. He was, everybody likes Foley, so why not put him in this one? And so a lot happening, a lot of moving pieces on this one. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but also at the same time, it's all right, we don't know what to do. Let's just make a 5-way. And that's what they did.
This whole era, this was,
yeah.
I don't know the exact years, but call it 2005 to 2020. There's a 10 plus year gap where outside of WrestleMania season, nothing made sense. And then I feel like they get their shit together from January, the first Raw of the year. It would be okay, now we care again. And we'll bring back some legends, and we'll, have some storylines, and we'll kick some stuff off at Rumble, and we'll have a killer WrestleMania.
Right.
My theory, I don't know if I said this on here or not, but it's I feel like right now, 12 months out of the year, the product's a million times better than it was in 2007. But Vince did load up WrestleMania, and they kind of just threw everything at the kitchen sink for that show. Whereas Triple H, night 1, night 2, they're no different than any other PLE. And right. So I think people were underwhelmed this year, rightfully so. They weren't bad shows, but there's no chance that night 1 or night 2 of WrestleMania this year will be the best PLE of the year.
Yeah.
So that's again pros and cons. But all right, 227, Vengeance 2007. Jeff, are you ready?
Let's get into it. Yep.
All right. It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
Can't eliminate opponents by throwing them out of the ring. But it's gonna be chaotic, JR.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, this match
like,
must be won by
based on, I took my notes. I have no clue what direction this is going to go. Like, there's just so many
disqualification, no count outs, pinfall or submission. Is this an elimination or is there just one pinfall or submission?
One pinfall. First,
I'd imagine in 10 minutes. Okay.
Which, we're at, 227 is when we started, and 239 is the end of the show. So not a long one, but the guys, Foley just kind of standing around. Same with Lashley. Looks like they're going after Orton.
I don't know.
Jesus.
I don't know how much of this you've caught, but there's been some Twitter chatter. It's funny because, and I'll just tee this up, and I want your perspective on it.
Sure.
I find that a lot of things that people are complaining about right now were things that Vince McMahon adamantly disagreed with. So Vince didn't want advertisements on the mat. He didn't want too many commercials. He wanted to run a ton of house shows so that people in every market could see their favorite wrestler live.
Yep.
Massive splash by Lashley out there, wiped everyone out. That was really, really
giant
cool.
airtime. Yep.
He seemed to be, willing to keep ticket prices reasonable. He launched the network so that things would be free. But it's funny because a lot of the things people are complaining about, Vince wouldn't have allowed just because he was like, well, we're not doing this or we're not doing that. So it's just really interesting. And this, Jeff, and I want your just comments on this, but like, this is where we have to remember life isn't always black and white. So we have to be smart enough to reconcile that, hey, we may not agree with things he did in his personal life, but we may also like things that he did when he ran the company. And there's other things we may not like. And so sometimes when we do that, like we sometimes try to put everything into good versus evil. So, Hogan's now evil. Vince is now evil. Oh, but yeah, my favorite match ever is Hogan Warrior. And I really liked when there weren't advertisements on the mat. I think sometimes people just need to use their brain and decipher these things as opposed to trying to commingle all of them into one thing. But have you noticed that, there's things I actually really liked about WWE, pre-TKO perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's evolving. It's what it is. And I think you said at the end there, I think TKO plays a lot into this. Like, do I like, part of it is I have to look at it from an angle of, okay, what is affecting the product? Are advertisements in the ring affecting the product? Maybe not necessarily. Like, I don't think so. That doesn't bother me. Like, I do think some of the celebrity type stuff does. I look forward in 3, 4, 5 years, however long it is, where we get the Rock documentary of what's happened over the last year and a half with him coming back and not coming back, and him being a board member, but then also calling like some booking shots. And so, I think that like a lot of it is, and it goes back to you and I got like the whole point of TKO buying and WWE selling to TKO and being a part of them is to make more money. Like, that's the whole point with TKO, and we've talked about this before. In the stockholders, like, they want to make money, and so between the advertising, between how they're running, we're moving back to Las Vegas for WrestleMania, so okay, like, is like New Orleans a big city for that type of stuff? Yeah, absolutely, but Vegas is bigger. It's really what it is, and it's almost like a football, like Power 4, Power 5 conference type thing where they're going to just kind of, condense down. We're going to get Vegas. Like, I know Minnesota was on that list for a while and they pulled from there. Like, Minnesota's not, okay, whatever. Like, it's just not a thing, but like, we're going to London. It's going to happen. It's only a matter of time before WrestleMania is in London. We got losing tables here. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So,
Cena
huge suplex to Lashley. Kind of Cena and Lashley seem to be doing most of the work here at this point. But yeah, I think you just kind of have to accept like this stuff's gonna like. I think we're only seeing the start of it too. Like it's been, it hasn't been that long. The program's gonna keep evolving. Like it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, and I think I think that's a great point. So my thought on this, like, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I love it, but I also don't allow advertisements on the mat to ruin my day.
Right.
I'm not gonna be in a pissy mood if there's 5 matches instead of 6 on a PLE. Right. So
right.
As I've said many times, I'm watching a ton of awesome wrestling for free. I'm not paying $50 for the pay-per-view. I'm not trying to like organize 5 buddies to watch with. Like, it's great. I can watch it the next morning. It's all free. So being a wrestling fan is incredible. I'm not going to allow the fact that there's no women's match on Saturday night's main event to anger me. I think a lot of these things, and I don't know if they really upset people or they're just trying to get engagement on Twitter, but it's like, let's just pump the brakes here. So I think it's great being a wrestling fan. But I do wonder, are they going to take it too far? And it's not going to happen this year, and it may not even happen next year. But is there going to come a time where I'll use house shows as an example? Hey, we haven't done house shows in smaller markets in 5 years. So theoretically, are we losing younger fans because they don't have the experience of going to a live show and high-fiving their favorite wrestler? I don't know. Right. Are eventually the 5-match PLEs or keeping certain stars off of certain shows, is it going to catch up to them? I don't know. I do get the sense like they're testing their bounds on some things, but we're also talking about a multi-billion-dollar company. So if there's things they're doing that they're seeing in the metrics are hurting, I do think they'll adjust course. So,
I think RKO, I don't know whether from Orton to Cena. Foley stalking breaks it up.
But I think what I'm saying with that is like there are things where I wonder, are you? But then I also go, okay, the people complaining about these things, it's a very vocal, very small group of your fans. So how many people really care about these things?
They are super connected to the internet. Like that is, they are armchair quarterbacks in every sense of the way. And I think you made the point too about the metrics. Like they have so much data and so much to back up what they're doing. Like they know the minute by minute, the reaction that they're getting from stuff. Like, am I a huge fan of, Jey Uso, like, and having him be the champ? No, but also like, he's not for me. Like he's for kids.
That is the
kids
perfect
lose
example.
Their shit. Yes. Okay, fine. Like, but I'm enjoying the Cena stuff. Like, and I'm able to read between the lines a little bit to be like, oh, he's torn. Like, oh, he wants the cheers back. Like there was a reason, what was it? A couple pay-per-views ago or premium live shows ago where, they kept the camera on him after the show went off the air and he was getting thank you Cena chants. And they were showing like how he was torn and how he couldn't react. Like they don't put anything on TV that we're not supposed to see. Like that's how it is. Like they're building it that way. They're doing it. Same with like, Jey Uso, like great, fine. Like, but he walks out of the crowd, kids lose their shit. They do the yeet, like whatever, like cool. Like, and he's a top 3 merchandise seller. He has to be. And so, why aren't they going to push that guy? Which you and me, the 30 plus year, wrestling watcher, like, no, we don't have to like that. But that's why Cena's on the show. That's why we get that. That's why we get some of these other storylines that work. And so, it's just like the metrics are such a big part of it to me that a lot of people don't think about.
You've got YouTube views, you've got minute-by-minute TV ratings, you've got merchandise sales, you've got social media engagement. Orton just
punted Foley. That was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Big spear
a fun
there
match.
then, yeah.
But that is such a great point. And here, I'll give you, and I think Jey Uso is a perfect example.
Bobby Lashley. Foley may have been concussed.
Cena getting booed.
Cena with the FU, but the King's got those ropes.
Look for blocking there.
He thought he aborted the FU. He did. Oh my God.
Foley gonna take it. Yeah.
Mick Foley up. Oh, they got FU. Cena's got it. And Cena wins
There
it.
you go.
Okay. Hey, you want to put a bow on your thought here? Yeah.
Short match, but I actually thought that was really fun. The bow on my thought is Jey Uso's perfect example.
Yep.
And I'll give you another example. Logan Paul. If I'm Triple H, I'm booking Logan Paul exactly like he's booking him. Also, I just don't care. I don't dislike Logan Paul. I don't tune in to watch him. It's not for me. That's not the point. It's smart to put him on television. Obviously, they're lucky to have him. They're lucky to have Pat McAfee. So even if you don't like these guys, it's smart to have them. Travis Scott, I didn't know who he was. I still don't have any interest in watching him, but I get why you would integrate him into the story. This is not David Arquette getting the world championship. This is throwing these guys into situations to grow your fan base. And it's worked. There are way more fans watching. And so, you have to remember that. But no, I think great points there. And it's funny too, because when people say, oh, well, Jey Uso isn't a big draw, my answer to that, there's like 10 people in the history of the business that have been a big draw. And you're looking at one of them right now, John Cena. There's Cena, there's Reigns, there's Rock, there's Austin, there's Hogan. Flair drew back in the 70s and 80s in his markets. I mean, there are just not that many people that are, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Yes, they were top dog and they drew some money, but like, were they major draws? No, not really. So
not necessarily, no.
Yeah. At any rate, good, really good match. All right, let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right, what'd you think?
Surprised. I wish it was a little bit longer, but overall it was pretty good though. Nonstop action, obviously protected everybody having Foley take the pin, but that's just how it goes. But still really good. Like it was nonstop. It's not, some crazy 5-star, but it was pretty good.
Totally agreed. I mean, really fun match. Action the entire time, some cool spots. Yeah, I liked it. I exceeded my expectations. But and I don't know if they were like timed out, like it was towards the end of the show or what, but that just felt like a 15 to 20 minute match.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So this one, though, so we'll kind of go through everybody on this one in the aftermath. So Cena will start there, continued his title reign. He ended up, as we kind of saw from this match, he had a one-on-one feud with Bobby Lashley. They had a match at Great American Bash 2007. Cena won that one. It was actually one of his last major matches. It was a 380-day run with the WWE Championship. It ended in October because he got hurt. So, Lashley, on the flip side, like you said, feuding with Cena, but then he got hurt as well, too. And then he left WWE in early 2008. So about 7 months later, eventually came back almost 12 years later, as we know, but kind of during COVID. But he was there as well, too. Randy Orton, Randall Heath. Yep. Again, just doing what he's doing. And so this was before the Age of Orton run, the Legend Killer, like had a lot of that going on as well, too. Eventually, he won the title after Cena had to vacate it because of his injury at No Mercy at the end of this year. Booker T, or King Booker, kind of feuded with Triple H for a little bit. Really, just as we know, commentary now, but really kind of got out of it after this. And Foley, this was really just a one-off. Like, it was weird as can be, but he was just there for this, really to come in, take a pin. That's all he could do. He ended up leaving in 2008, and just he's always coming and going. Like he's just Mick Foley. He's always going to be around. So this one though, PWI for everybody in 2007, Bobby Lashley was 9, Cena was 1, King Booker 18, Randy Orton 15, Mick Foley not rated. This one, the highest rated on this match, or this card rather, 3.5 stars. It was a high energy contest that highlighted Cena's resilience and the dynamic interplay among the competitors. While not the most critically acclaimed match, it effectively advanced several storylines heading into the summer. So, 3.5. Like, it was fine. Like, it was a quick, like we said. There was just a lot of action though. But what are you thinking for this one?
I have it as 6.5. Like it was fine for what it was. It definitely could have been longer. The finish kind of came out of nowhere, so it was good. I mean, but again, my expectations weren't high, so it was better than I thought. But not a massive build. We're just throwing something on a pay-per-view to try to get $40 out of people. What'd you think?
I'm at a 6. Yeah, it was fine. Like it was, there's nothing wrong with it. It wasn't, like we said, a great match, but also like I got no reason to complain either. So overall, it was just perfectly fine. I was, sports entertained, as I like to say. There's nothing wrong with that. You put a bunch of people in the ring you like and let them just kind of do their thing. And yeah, the ending wasn't great, Foley taking the pin, but whatever, it was fine. I was still entertained, and we got to see everybody kind of get a spot. I wonder if there was a little bit of a time crunch at the end there. I wonder if it was supposed to be longer and they just couldn't because they were pushing up on time for some reason. But who knows? So, but overall, pretty good.
Yep, we're in agreement, and I'm very, very excited for next week. Believe it or not, this was actually on our calendar well in advance. Yes. Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Sabu at One Night Stand 2006. So, we're gonna talk all things Sabu. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yep, absolutely. Good stuff. All right, let's send him home happy.
All right, well, we appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.